and welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm here with Josh Utter-Leyton, also known as Wrapter on Magic Online. Josh has just locked up his first career Pro Tour top 8 here at Pro Tour San Juan. Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you.
You had to get through 10 rounds of Block Constucted. It's a big part of your qualification.
Yep.
I mean, getting into the top 8. You played a deck that you call it a Gru deck, an Erg deck.
We're going with Rug.
Rug. Did you guys all talked about this to come up with the correct?
It is hotly debated.
Yeah. So a blue-green-red deck, or I guess a red-blue-green deck that has its origins in the Magic Online Championship Series deck that Brad Nelson won with on Magic Online. Mike Jacobs designed the deck with Brad. At some point, the Channel Fireball guys come in while preparing for this tournament, and you start working on the deck. Tell us a little bit about it and what you guys did with the deck.
Yeah, so we'd all played the deck in the format before Rise of the Eldrazi, and we knew it was a really good deck and just awesome in that format. So this was obviously one of our favorite decks coming into the new format. The format didn't change so drastically that there was any reason that this deck would be bad. So we came into testing for this Pro Tour thinking that this is on the short list of decks we want to play.
And key cards that make it really exciting are Oracle of Mul Daya, Lotus Cobra, and Explore in terms of just getting ahead on mana.
Yeah, those are important cards. The most important card though by far is Jace.
Jace the Mind Sculptor?
This is the Jace deck, and Jace is the best card in the format, and this is the deck that uses Jace the best. You have 8 ways to ramp up into Jace on turn 3. You have cheap removal to protect your Jace against the aggressive decks. You have the same cheap removal, your Burst Lightnings to kill other people's Jaces so that you can stick a Jace and they don't. You have Raging Ravines to attack Jaces. This deck is all about Jace, killing their Jace, sticking your Jace, and going nuts with Jace, hence the Oracles and the Lotus Cobras.
All right, let's talk through the different aspects that Jace benefits from this deck.
Yeah.
So you said ramping into Jace. Tell us how you ramp into a turn 3 Jace.
Well, you just have the turn 2 Explorer Lotus Cobra, and that leads to an easy turn 3 Jace.
Okay. You had actually a really crazy turn 3 in a very key match. Tell us about it.
So in the match that I won to lock up top 8, I was on the play and had turn 2 Lotus Cobra, and turn 3 played Oracle of Mul Daya, fetch land Oracle of Mul Daya, fetch land Jace on turn 3. So my board was Lotus Cobra, Oracle, Jace, 5 lands. My opponent had 2 lands in play.
And you won that game pretty handily from there. Okay, so now you talked about the removal to protect Jace. So we're here on Burst Lightning and Flame Slash, which I kind of an interesting card. Why Flame Slash?
We just thought it was the next best removal spell after Burst Lightning. It kills Overgrown Battlements, which is a big deal in this format. There's a lot of the Ram decks playing that. Kills Malakir Bloodwitch. Somebody pays 5 mana for that, and you just pay 1 and kill it, and spend the rest of your turn doing something like playing a Jace or whatever else. It's just a really efficient removal spell.
Another removal spell that's, I guess, really a big part of the deck. People have referred to them as Comet Storm decks. Tell us about the Comet Storm.
So this deck, draws a lot of cards, makes a lot of mana, then it needs to kill you somehow. Unfortunately, we can't just, get a lot of mana and draw lots of cards. As much as many of us may want to do just that, we have to kill people somehow. So our high end is kind of the Avengers, Comet Storms, and Sphinxes.
Right. Avenger of Zendikar is a card that really has had it's kind of like breakout performance this weekend, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the best cards in this format, definitely. It's kind of like the nut expensive spell that people are playing, other than the Eldrazi stuff.
Right. Now, one of the modifications you made to this deck, and this also, I guess, goes back to interactions with Jace, is moving Goblin Ruinblasters from the sideboard to the main deck.
Yeah, the Lotus Cobras and Ruinblasters were in the sideboard for MJ's and Brad's deck for the champs, and we moved those to the main deck because we expected a lot more control decks and ramp decks, where those are much better than the other cards we would be playing, like Spreading Seas, Oracle of Seagate Oracle, and more spot removal. And the Ruinblasters are just key against the ramp decks because you can play your Ruinblaster, set them back a turn, and then eventually you just lock them out with Jace bouncing your Ruinblaster and blowing up the land every turn.
That actually happens. That's not actually magical Christmas land.
This actually happens. I did that many times in the Pro Tour.
Have you ever bounced your Avenger of Zendikar?
I have never done that, but that could certainly come up also if you really needed a real big plants.
Tell me a little bit of 2 Deprive. It seems like you just want a counter spell in there.
Yeah, you want something once you get ahead on cards and mana, you want something to be able to make sure that you're finishing them, so you can, Comet Storm with a Deprive backup, Avenger with Deprive backup. Just gives the deck a lot more range as far as what it can do.
Just walk us through the sideboard real quick, and then we'll
sure. So we
let
have
you prepare for your top 8
we
photo.
have the 6 anti-aggro cards here. Just spot removal for all their creatures. Cunning Sparkmage is a recent addition to the deck. It's just a powerful card that's really good against a lot of the aggro decks. And one of the decks that we didn't really have a good list for was the green aggro deck with lots of tokens and stuff. And there were a lot of murmurs about that deck before the Pro Tour, so we added that one in just as a really powerful card against them. We have the 4th Ruinblaster. We just couldn't find room for it main deck, so it's in the sideboard. Some more counter spells, making sure that against the control decks, just being able to interact with them and what they're doing. Some boom booms. The Mold Shambler is awesome against the Ram decks, where they have like all is Dust or Wrath of God. You don't always want something like a Rampaging Baloths or an Avenger, or an Avenger of Zendikar, because they can just wrath it away. But that gives you a way to disrupt them and meaningfully impact the board. And then just different decks, you want different threats, so you'll swap these out for Avengers or Comet Storms or something.
Excellent. Well, I mean, it's a really exciting deck. It's done really well for your team. You guys are poised to put maybe potentially 4 people into the top 8 of this event. Yep. A real YMG kind of breakout tournament. Congratulations on a great weekend.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing this deck on block queues and maybe moving into standard as we get some rotations. Signing off for Josh Utter-Leyton, this is Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center.